is there any evidence of that? Nowhere. Magical thinking, they call that. It's when a baseball player wears his socks for 2 weeks and doesn't wash them because that means he'll get a hit. Magical thinking. So I posted these letters on the district website on Thursday night. We're closed Fridays during the summer. Now, normally during the summer, first week in August, that website would get about 30 hits. Friday morning, I woke up. My email box was full, crazy. Phones ringing, people calling from Texas, people calling from New Hampshire, an email from Indonesia. I'm not lying. All over the state. In fact, he went here. He went to kindergarten here, that guy. And he was on Diane Ravitch's blog and said, I'm the guy from Indonesia. And he talked about it. If you go on there, it's the one where she said I was a hero. That piece has comments. One of the comments is that fellow from Indonesia. So I knew something had happened. Now, I'm a technology immigrant. You can tell a technology immigrant because a technology immigrant will send you an email, then call you up and say, hey, did you get my email? So I couldn't really figure out for a second what was happening. But I knew it was apparent that some of the things I said in those letters found resonance elsewhere. And they did. And they did. And it hasn't. I'm also convinced, because last week, I do a phone message to the district, usually every week, but I did it in preparation for this. So the next day, I looked at my stuff, and there's me talking on somebody's website in Utah. Now, as you can tell if you've heard it, it's not really scripted. So I wish people would leave me alone.
Perfect, Joe.
I hear you. But I'm convinced, I'm a Facebooker now, too.
Yeah!
And I've begun to tweet. But I'm convinced if I sneeze over here today, when I get home and check my Facebook, it'll say, God bless you from somebody in Alaska. So what did Joe learn from this? That's the way we're going to get our message out.
Yep.
Social media. It's also the most effective, no spin, no filtering medicine around. We'll get the news out before anybody else does.
Yes.
Papers are folding because that's not the way people get their news anymore. Right? I still like to read the funnies. I buy the papers on Sunday, but I won't buy Newsday. All right, so that's the way this occurred today. That should tell us something. I didn't send this out. I didn't know to put it anywhere. Now I do. But back then I didn't. So social media is going to wait. Because I have to tell you, 20,000 wasn't noticed. The headline tomorrow is going to be, Rella hates Newsday and wants Commissioner King fired. I have no comment on either of those. I am not objecting to that particular view. All right, so what happened to Joe? Now, a great philosopher when I was a boy was Popeye. And Popeye would get to the point in every cartoon where he would say, that's all I can stand, I can't stand no more. And that's what happened to me. That's why I wrote the letters. Any test, they say fancy now, it's the tipping point. Popeye. I reached my Popeye moment. Any test designed to have 70% of the children taking it fail is abusive.
Yes! Yeah!
Period. Planned, designed that way. We were told it was going to happen back last November, December. Any test designed to have 70% of the children taking it fail is abusive. My first responsibility as superintendent is not education, it's safety. That's what the regulations say. I have to provide a safe environment for students, physically and emotionally.
Yes.
And emotionally. There is even a state law outlawing bullying. DASA, Dignity for All Students Act. We don't let students engage in this behavior. Clearly, we cannot and we will not let anyone else bully our children. And that kind of bullying, emotional bullying, is much more insidious because you don't see the black and blues. They're on the inside. We've been focusing on our children, and rightly so. But I need to let you also think about our children are connected to families who have been stressed, some severely so, watching their children's upset and anxiety at taking the test, and now awaiting, as Gina said, the impending assault on their self-concept as the grade reports go home. Children are also connected to administrators and teachers, and they have families. They have been under an almost constant assault for the past 3 years, supported by a barrage of sustained criticism in the media. I'm with them every day. I see what they are going through. Now, what do you think their families are going through? We are constantly hearing about how educational system doesn't measure up compared to educational systems in many other countries in the world. I submit that educators aren't treated the way they are here in any other place in the world. Educators are valued. I have to ask the question, what's right about what's going on?
Nothing.
What's right about any initiative that puts families in turmoil, puts dedicated people in fear of losing their livelihoods, and now the ultimate obscenity, damaging a child's self-image and altering, perhaps permanently, a child's self-definition? They should be ashamed of themselves. The irony is that those engaged in what amounts to the programmatic destruction of public education, those who design the programs, write the curricula, produce the assessments, prepare the reports, write the blistering news articles and television scripts, bemoaning our constant failure. And let's not forget, most importantly, those who tally up all that money coming in would be doing none of it if it weren't for a teacher, and many teachers. Our parents don't have to wait to find out 6 months later how their kids did. If you want to know how your child is doing in school, ask your child's teacher. Ask your child's principal. I got to ask the teacher and the principal if they ask me. So, the Common Core initiative, its implementation and testing regimen is hurting our children. It must stop now. All right.
Yes.
It must be examined by educational professionals, not business people. I know it's a novel concept, but we're breaking new ground here today. We need practitioners, teachers, administrators, academics, people who attended public school for 12 years and also had family members who attended, probably don't qualify. Let's look at it another way. I had a knee operation in 1971. And I also have seen a number of doctors over the years, and so have members of my family, So by virtue of that, when I leave here today, I should be able to waltz myself into the operating room at Mather Hospital and do some orthopedic surgery. Makes sense? After they took me out of the straitjacket, I wouldn't be allowed back on the property. That's not happening to any of these guys. Night is day, day is night, and things are getting curiouser and curiouser. The Jabberwocky was right. I also like the Lorax, by the way. So that's the first thing. If it can be fixed, first you got to stop it now. Put the brakes on. Time out. Then, if it can be fixed, and I have serious doubts whether that's possible, but if it can be fixed, then fix it. If it can't, then throw it out. Scrap it. Say it now. Ready? Stop it, fix it, or scrap it. Again, stop it, fix it, or roll of threes. One more time. Stop it, fix it, or scrap it. All right. How are we going to get this done? Well, we have to face some truths. Truth number one, no one is going to rescue us. If we maintain, and I've been guilty of this, if we maintain the belief that the problems we have been experiencing over the last 3 years or so are coming from out there, from them doing something to us, then we are helpless to effect change. Only they can stop the pain then. They are not going to do that. Once, however, we recognize that we are also connected to our own problems in terms of a unified voice and not being effective at that, then we have some control over our destiny. Then we can effect change. The tone, in terms of our rhetoric, we need to tone it down a little bit. On one level, it's very satisfying. I'm Italian. I love to yell about things and throw things. It raises the blood pressure. But it has not raised serious interest or hasn't generated the response we've wanted, has it? Also keep in mind, and this is really important, they know who we are. They know us. Whatever incomprehensible initiative has been thrust upon our teachers and administrators, their response has always been the same. How are we going to get this to work for the kids? We don't want the kids to feel this. Parents do exactly the same thing. Property tax caps, cutting programs, larger class sizes, reorganizing schools, less activities, paying more, getting less. How are we going to make this work for the children? They know that. They depend on that. That's what teachers do. That's what parents do. We turn ourselves inside out to ensure that our children won't get hurt. Indeed, our children have been the light shining through the darkness of these past years. Walk into any school building. Be around those kids. You don't think about any of these things because you're blinded by the light of the children. And it's not as if we won't continue to behave in exactly the same way, but we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to. Second truth is numbers matter. Numbers matter.